Some wounds don't come from one moment. They come from patterns, experiences that repeat until they're understood. In astrology, Chiron shows us where pain has shaped us and where healing becomes wisdom. This isn't about reliving the wound, it's about understanding it. And in this video, we're going to take a somewhat deep dive into Chiron, known as the wounded healer, and how understanding your wounds is one of the fundamental steps to wellness. So if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So welcome to day 20 of our 31-day wellness and astrology series. And today we're talking about Chiron, often called the wounded healer. Now, in astrology jargon, Chiron is not a planet, it's an asteroid. Now, it's typically included in your natal chart calculation because it's really important. There are thousands, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of asteroids that you can add to your natal chart to give you different information. But the star, I want to say, of the asteroids is Chiron. So Chiron represents a core sensitivity, an early wound or ongoing vulnerability, something you may feel behind in, a place where self-doubt lingers, a pain that doesn't disappear but evolves, insecurities, wounds, all of that stuff. Now, what's important to understand is that Chiron isn't about what's broken. It's about what you learn to hold with compassion. By default, we are all flawed, and we all struggle with one thing or another, whether it be our self-image, our self-worth, our ability to express ourselves, how we look, our level of intelligence. We all have a hang-up or two. And Chiron can really show you what yours is. But the beauty of Chiron and how Chiron works is that once you overcome this insecurity, once you heal it in a sense, you become the blueprint for others. It's like people can learn from you by example. And that's the beauty of Chiron, because it not only heals you, it can help heal others as well. So here's the misunderstanding. Many people think healing means fixing the wound, getting over it, or becoming unaffected, effectively becoming numb to it. But Chiron doesn't work that way at all. Chiron requires you to face the wound. The universe will never let you skip a lesson or skip healing. It's going to keep showing up until you actually address it. But when Chiron is ignored, it shows up as repeated emotional patterns, self-sabotage, sensitivity to specific situations, feeling like you're not enough in a certain area of life, or attracting familiar pain. Healing begins when the wound is acknowledged without judgment. And it's the without judgment part that's very important. Because often when we are wounded, we shame ourselves in addressing the wound. That's why oftentimes we don't address the wound at all. We feel guilty, we feel embarrassed, we feel shameful for what we experienced or for how we feel. But the first step in healing, or one of the fundamental steps in healing, is to acknowledge how you feel, acknowledge the wound without judgment. Just observe it. Much like you would if you were going to see a movie. You got your popcorn, you go into the theater, you sit down and you just watch. That's what you should do with your wounds. It's really about understanding them, not shaming yourself for them, not adding additional stress onto yourself because of them, but understanding what they are and then addressing them without judgment. So now let's get into some examples of Chiron by element. So let's say you have Chiron in a fire sign. So that would be Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. You may experience wounds around identity, confidence, or being seen. Fire signs are always on. They are expressive. They're the star of the show. They are the initiators, right? The expanders. And so when you have Chiron in a fire sign, maybe you have hangups about being seen or who you even are at your core, or maybe being confident in yourself and the things that you do are where you're most wounded. Now, the healing path for fire Chiron signs is to reclaim your self-expression, allow yourself to take up space, and to lead with authenticity. Now, this may sound really simplistic, and it kind of is, because again, the universe is not going to allow you to skip a lesson or to kind of take the easy way out when it comes to healing. Like, you really have to go through it. So much like you would learn how to swim, right? You could watch YouTube videos, you could read books, you could listen to other people's experiences about swimming. But until you literally get in the water and try it for yourself, you're not going to learn how to swim. And so for fire signs, you kind of have to be bold, you have to be a bit fearless, and you got to just do it. And again, that would be reclaiming your self-expression, like take up space, allow yourself to be seen. And the thing with Chiron is you kind of got to do it scared. You can't just try to skirt around it. If you're scared, do it anyway. But allow yourself to be seen, allow yourself to take up space. And doing so authentically is how you can heal that Chiron wound. Next, we move on to Earth sign Chiron. So this means that you have Chiron in either Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. So you may experience wounds around worth, stability, or safety. So Earth sign Chirons, when it comes to feeling good about yourself, feeling worthy, being able to be stable on your own, having a stable foundation, or just feeling physically safe, these are the wounds that you may experience. Because stability, structure, having resources, feeling safe and secure is definitely how you are designed. But with Chiron in your Earth sign, whether again that's Taurus or Virgo or Capricorn, maybe you have issues around making money. Maybe, especially like if you're like a business owner, maybe you have issues setting your prices, right, that are commensurate with your experience and your value. Those are the wounds that you have to triumph over. So the healing path for you entails building self-trust, creating tangible security, and honoring your value beyond productivity. That last one is very important with Earth sign Chirons, because oftentimes you feel like your value is tied to your output, how useful you can be, how productive you can be, and understanding that that is merely just a sliver of what encompasses your value as a person. And again, you got to do this scared. Sometimes you got to speak up and say things, even if if your voice is trembling, right? Being proactive about setting boundaries when it comes to your safety. Allow yourself the room to trust yourself. And again, understanding that you're more than just your output or your productivity. Next, we move on to air Chirons. So this means that you have Chiron in either Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. And for you, you may experience wounds around your voice, speaking up, belonging, or understanding. So these could be wounds related to mental activities. Maybe you feel like you're not smart enough. Maybe you feel like what you have to say isn't important. Maybe you have issues understanding things or being understood, right? Exercising your throat chakra could be something that is very challenging for you and can be quite scary. Okay, but the healing path for you entails expressing truth gently. You don't have to roar like a lion. You can just start small and start expressing yourself in small but proactive ways. Releasing the need for approval. Being understood starts with understanding yourself and kind of not really caring about other people, not in a detrimental sort of way, but you don't need approval to be understood. And then finally, trusting your perspective. understanding that your opinions, your thoughts carry value in and of themselves is a great way to begin healing your Chiron wounds. And then finally, we arrive at the water Chiron sign. So this means that you have Chiron in either Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. And so for you, you may experience wounds around emotional safety, intimacy, or trust. So being truly vulnerable in an emotional sort of way is something that you may have insecurities or fears around. Maybe you put yourself out there to someone and they completely decimated you, or they really broke your heart. Trusting other people after perhaps being misused, mistreated, abused even, can definitely lead to these kind of wounds. Not feeling emotionally safe around people is also a big one as well. Now, the healing path for you entails setting emotional boundaries. That's extremely important because that is what ultimately leads to trust, especially when you set boundaries and people actually honor them. Self-soothing, being able to soothe yourself is extremely important for all signs, but especially for water Chiron signs, that is essential for your healing. And then compassionate self-presence, allowing yourself to feel how you feel without judgment, giving yourself grace and compassion is definitely a part of your healing path. So when it comes to all Chiron signs, as you can tell based on what I just explained, there's the insecurity, but inherent in the insecurity is the healing as well. And like I said before, the way that Chiron operates, once you heal and understand that healing isn't necessarily linear. Healing comes in stages, it comes in waves, and you kind of get better at it as you go along. But once you're able to conquer your Chiron, it unlocks doors to not only healing, but to being an example to others. Like you become the blueprint when it comes to healing and sort of triumphing over these wounds. It's a very powerful, powerful placement in your natal chart. Now, because you can see exactly where Chiron is in your natal chart, you can be conscious of what this wound is or what these wounds are. But here's kind of what happens when wounds run unconsciously, when you're not aware of them and or when you refuse to address them. So when Chiron isn't integrated, people may overcompensate, avoid vulnerability, repeat relational patterns, carry shame that isn't theirs, or believe the wound defines them. Especially if you've got Chiron like in your first house, you may identify as the wound. But either way, when Chiron isn't addressed, and not only addressed, but integrated, it runs the show. And because you're not conscious of it, you may be experiencing these patterns or the same triggers keep coming up and you're like, I don't understand. Like, why does this keep happening to me? Oftentimes you can look at Chiron and get a pretty straightforward answer. Okay, so I have a wound regarding self-worth when it comes to money. Maybe I take jobs that, don't pay me as much because I don't feel like I'm worth more. Maybe I don't charge enough for my services because I don't feel like I provide enough value, right? So then what ends up happening when you ignore this wound is you keep getting underpaid. You keep getting undercut. You keep attracting clients who lowball you or who don't pay you. And it can be frustrating because you're like, I want to make more money. I don't want to be in this vicious cycle, but how do I address it? And something like that definitely sounds like an Earth Chiron wound, right? You have to create boundaries. You have to honor your value beyond productivity. You have to understand, hey, I'm worth more. I should charge more. I should apply for jobs that really reflect who I am, not just me as a worker bee, right? And so you see in that one example, you were able to identify the wound, check it out via Chiron in your natal chart, and then understand what you need to do to address it. Now, the addressing part of it can be quite difficult, right? Because this is going to require you to now apply for jobs that, pay more, but maybe in the process you get rejected, which could trigger you. Charge more for your services if you are a service provider, but then you have less people making inquiries, less people signing up at first. But eventually, as you continue with it and you fortify those boundaries and you really embody what it is that you are saying you are, right? That you are valuable, your reality will begin to reflect that. And so it may take a while, but then maybe you will get a job that pays much more than you were making before. Or maybe, yes, you raise your prices and for the first month or two, no one was really biting, but now you've got a whole slew of new clients who treat you better, who aren't so much of a headache, right? It may take time. The execution of healing your Chiron wound will take time. But if you stick with it, again, you not only heal yourself, you give people the blueprint for healing as well. So now let's get into today's wellness tip. And today's tip is about working with Chiron gently. Gently being the operative word here, because when we're talking about emotional wounds, working through them, it can be arduous, it can be painful, it can be scary. And so the last thing that you want to do is attack this like a chore or attack this like something to do on your to-do list, right? Gently working with this is really the way to go. So here's a Chiron aligned healing practice. Okay, so step 1, identify the recurring pain point without a story. So this is examining your Chiron wound without judgment or even without a whole bunch of explanation, right? Oftentimes we can get caught in these healing cycles where we're not only addressing what just happened and what triggered us, but now we're going back to when we were 4 years old and something happened. And while there is a time and a place for that, you don't have to do that all the time. And so this is really just, understanding and naming and acknowledging what the wound is without a whole story, without a whole background, and without judgment. Step number 2, notice how you protect yourself there. Like, what walls do you put up? What do you avoid? Who or what do you push away based on this wound? Step number 3, offer compassion instead of correction. So this isn't the time to shame yourself. This isn't the time to feel bad. This isn't the time to be like, damn, I should have done things differently, or I should be a different kind of person. No, give yourself grace and give yourself compassion. Remember, we're approaching this gently. We're not attacking it aggressively. Step number 4, choose one small act of self-support. So this could be self-soothing. This could be setting up a boundary. This could be doing one thing that allows you to support yourself through your healing. And then step number 5, let healing be gradual, not forced. And this is important because if you are aggressive with this, it may be met with harshness. It may be met with resistance. And oftentimes when we're met with resistance, we shut down, we walk away, we escape. And then you're still stuck in this loop of emotional patterns and feeling horrible, right? So again, understanding what you need to heal the wound, doing it consistently, but even in small ways. And again, allow it to be gradual. Don't force it. And this is how you can really get on the path to healing based on your Chiron wound. Chiron shows us that the deepest wound often becomes the deepest insight. And this is beyond true. We're not wounded for no reason. I mean, nothing is coincidental. There's nothing that happens or that we experience that's for no reason, right? But the insight, the knowledge, and the wisdom that you gain from your Chiron wound is unmatched. Working through it, addressing it and acknowledging it is one thing, but actually working through it gives you incredible amounts of insight. Not because it disappears. Okay, it's not that the Chiron wound disappears. And this speaks to what I was saying before about healing is not linear. It's not like, okay, you do this little bit of work and then all of a sudden you're over it. It never happens again. You'll be met with the same scenarios, the same situations. You'll just deal with it differently. So it's not that your Chiron disappears. It's because you learn how to hold it without it holding you. You master it. You master it. And the beauty of that is that your wound does not disqualify you. It doesn't make you less than. It doesn't make you broken or anything like that. It gives you depth. It is the greatest teacher. As a matter of fact, the mythology of Chiron is that Chiron was a centaur in Greek mythology, half man, half horse. But he was a brilliant teacher. He was like a master professor. And his ability to heal people was also unmatched. But it wasn't until he healed himself that he gained true knowledge and then actually became immortal. And when you think about it that way, it's like when you conquer your wounds, your Chiron wound, you don't become immortal, but you do become kind of invincible. And that's the beauty of it. Chiron is truly powerful. As a matter of fact, take a look at the glyph, the symbol for Chiron. It literally looks like a key. Because once you master your Chiron, once you address your Chiron, once you work through your Chiron, it opens doors. It expands you in ways that you may not have even realized you could be expanded. Do not sleep on Chiron ever. And so if you want to know more about your Chiron and how it shows up in your life, then definitely consider signing up for my signature natal chart experience, The Blueprint. So essentially, it's a natal chart reading plus a transit report all in one. So you get a 60-minute live reading with me, access to a private online client portal with plenty of resources, and then you get a 30-day alignment map, which is a transit report for 30 days post-reading, so you know exactly what to anticipate and when to anticipate it. So if you're interested in that, the link to that is in the description box below. The first step with that is signing up for a free 15-minute clarity call to find out whether this service is even right for you, and if so, how to get started. So again, the link to that is in the description box below. And if you haven't already, take my self-care signature quiz. It's a fun, cute little quiz that allows you to understand your self-care signature a little better. All right, the link to that is also in the description box below. All right, my loves, thank you so much for tuning into this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.